BJ from Game Gumbo. I've got my guest here, Chris Glein, and we've been talking spicy games. Let's talk about some sorcery. Chris is the designer of studies in sorcery. Well, I say designer, a little more than that, Chris. And we're going to dive into that. And this is a game coming out on Weird Giraffe Games. I want you to tell me about it. Where did this idea come from? Studies in sorcery.
Oh, it came from my brain, of all places. It came from, first, a love of a mechanic called a Winston draft, which is a way of drafting cards with two players, which I did not invent. I can make no claim of. Richard Garfield, I believe, is the inventor of it.
I didn't know that.
Yep. Yeah, that's how I encountered it, as a way to draft Magic with two players. So, like, just have a lunch and a card draft. It's great. So I always wanted to design something around that. And for some reason, my brain went to, well, you've got these piles of cards that you're digging through, trying to find the good stuff. What theme is a good match for that? And my brain, as weird as it is, went to grave digging. So in this game, you're students of the Academy of the Dark Arts, and you're trying to achieve greatness or just graduate in the forbidden subjects of alchemy, reanimation, and sorcery. And in order to complete your projects, you're going to need to do that by digging up the materials to complete said projects from the local cemetery. That's the pitch. It's my game.
Steve said it was a dark theme that you actually presented lightly. Steve's the name father, and he comes up with these little quick things, dark and light being that juxtaposition. Was that a conscious effort from you to have, let's face it, kind of a morbid theme, digging up old bones and brains and things, but still presenting it in a light, humorous fashion? And if so, how'd you do it?
I mean, absolutely. From the start, it was like leaning into taboo but funny to make it light and cute. So, like, if you're going to be, it's not necromancy, it's reanimation. It's always spun in this kind of positive way where it's like, yeah, we're going to make interesting creatures with this. And it's trying to ride that line of, like, this is forbidden, we shouldn't be doing this, but also this is kind of hilarious and weird. So it was very important to me that this landed on the light side. This is not grim dark. This is, even though the theme is dark, it's playful. And we're sitting here in October, coming up on Halloween, and you have kids dressing up as things that we normally wouldn't deem as appropriate, but it's like playing with this dark line and this forbiddenness that's fun and celebrated, and that's what I wanted to do here. So I wanted to communicate that through the mechanics. I wanted to communicate that through the graphic design and the illustration, so to be light.
Well, Dean and the crew from Meepletown, Dean and John, they actually did a preview for it, if I remember right. It says, "It's a cool game, Chris. My favorite part is push your luck in the grave digging." That's a good segue. Chris, tell us about how the game is played. And I'll go back to that picture showing all the card layout for you.
Yeah, that'd be super helpful. So the core part of the game is you have these project cards. So those are the kind of little open book cards you see in the middle. Those are projects you're trying to complete as part of your education at this Academy of the Dark Arts. And they all require materials, which you'll see on the left page there. So they might need bones or worms or mushrooms, or they might be very particular. It's like, this doesn't need any bone. This needs specifically a skull. So how are you going to get those things? You're going to dig in these grave piles. So those are the cards you see at the bottom that got the little gravestone on them. And there's going to be 3 of those piles, and they're going to have some number of cards with them, one or more. And on your turn, if you're digging, you're going to grab the leftmost pile. You're going to look at it and look at all the cards in it and decide if you want to take everything there, or if you want to keep going and look at the next pile. So if you take everything there, you get however many cards it is. If you keep going, you put that pile back face down, and you add another face down card to it. So it has all the cards you saw plus one more card, which inevitably is going to make piles that are less attractive eventually get attractive, because you take all the cards in the pile. And it also adds an air of mystery of, like, what is that last card that got added to it? So you'll keep going until you choose a pile, or you go off the end and you get a random card off the top of the deck. And then it's going to pass the next player, and they're dealing with whatever changes that resulted from your picks. So it might be that pile that had all the cards plus one more, or maybe you took it and it's reset to one card. So there's this, like, natural drama in the push your luck of do I want to go to the next pile that's got more cards, or should I take, this right here that's kind of what I want? The moments where in this game you're like, I'm going to keep going, and you pull the next one and you regret everything. That happens
I wish
so
I'd
many
saved
times in
that
the
other
game.
pile.
It just has a natural, like, comedic moment to it every time it happens, and it happens a lot in the game. You are going to regret your decisions, or you're going to feel like a genius. It's going to be one of the two usually.
All right, so you're digging for those bones and digging for those things, and there's a reason you do that, and that's
Yep.
these different studies. The way I picture it is you're bumbling, fumbling students trying to get their master's degree, and sometimes you're cramming by putting more ingredients than you really should be doing. But it's all about these cards, and I love the way that the graphic design kind of makes them look. Tell us about these cards.
Yeah, so this is a project card. So it's got a dollar value in the lower left-hand corner. That's how much it is to buy from the market. So the materials that you acquire are not just used for projects. You can then resell them to get new projects. So you're going to be trying to balance, like, how much money am I getting versus am I getting the right materials? But once you've gotten your work area, it's ready to go. The left side is what you need to complete it, and the right side is what you're going to get when you do complete it. So in this case, you're going to need a vial that you can just buy from the store, and 2 mushrooms. Those you're going to need to dig up. On the right side, you see in the bottom right-hand corner, it's got the number of credits it's worth. So this is worth a 3-credit project. And it's got an effect that you're going to draw 4 cards when you complete it. So this is an alchemy project. All the alchemy projects have a one-time effect. You finish them, you drink the potion, you get the effect, you're done. So in this case, you're going to get an influx of cards. This is more of a tempo card, where other ones might be more building up your engine. And so that's the main flow of a project. But each of the schools, so this is the School of Alchemy, has its own flavor. The alchemy projects want you to finish them at the appropriate pace. If you rush them, you're going to get these demerit tokens that make them worth less. Contrasted with this is a sorcery project. Sorcery projects tend to care about the phase of the moon. So one of my favorite things about this game is that the turn tracker is actually walks you through it's a month, and it walks you through the phases of the moon. So you go from like a half moon to a full moon, and there you go, right there. And that's your turn tracker. And some of your completed projects care about what turn you're in. And then you can start layering these effects. You're like, yes, well, the new moon is coming up, and I'm pretty good at the new moon because I've completed these projects. So sorcery allows you to layer together all these effects. And the third main school there, you can kind of see a peek of that on the image above, is reanimation. There's the crowd favorite, the unstoppable bone sphere, which is literally just roll a whole bunch of bones together and call it a project. But there's all sorts of things. You can make a worm golem. You can make the fungal animate's another favorite, made out of mushrooms. So that's more of like the expression of yourself artistry. I'm going to make this sculpture out of these things and also turn it into my best friend. So those are the 3 main schools. They all have this different flavor, but you layer them together. In the end, you're trying to get points, your credits. But if you ignore the abilities you're getting along the way, you're not going to get to those high echelons.
But Chris, you actually did the art and graphic design in this one, isn't that right?
Yeah, that's true.
I don't know if you've seen, we've got Beth Sobel in there. So here's your chance to impress Beth with some of the handiwork that you've done. No, I'm all joking aside. I thought it was crisp and clean, and it still carried the dark theme while being intentionally funny, right? Is that what you were going for?
Yeah, absolutely. And also Beth's amazing. So yeah, that's hard to be compared to her in any way. But yeah, I wanted to bring that quirkiness. This is a great shot for that. This kind of imperfect style, but bringing back this like academic feel. The sepia tones, the books, and these little sketches and diagrams. All of that, just communicating like, hey, we're doing something kind of wrong here, but it's playful. I want to contribute that at every part.
Come on, this looks like any one of those Marvel superhero movies where they're going into this dusty stack of books and they're pulling out all these arcane charts. And of course, they recognize all the language and they can read all these languages, right? They figure out the charts, and really it's just gibberish in there. But what's interesting is that they're messing with stuff they're not supposed to be touching, right?
Yeah.
I love the layered look though, Verla. Take a look at how the pages are. They're almost
That's really neat.
They almost have an energy to them, like we're looking into different pieces of the books piled on. Maybe somebody is kind of cramming at the end to try to get their credits as fast as they can.
Yeah, that's the completed side. So when you flip it over, that's what you get. And there's a couple of things going on there. One, it looks like you just madly been working on a project and you're left with these papers all over your desk. The other is that technically nothing there on the right side is critical information for you to know once you've completed a project. So you can tuck the cards on top of each other and have like a nice tight plane surface. So you can kind of decide where you want to see the art and where you want to be space efficient.
I like that.
We should really have Beth host the show because she has so much better questions than I do. Is the Latin fun stuff when you translate it? Did you do anything like that, or did you just kind of use the ipsum lopsum, jetsam thing?
That is the standard lorem ipsum text, but I have the ability. One of those cards actually shows it to have whatever text I want there, and something I've been having a lot of fun with. Because our Kickstarter's up right now, and I'm like, as the designer, what do I do with my hands, right? So what I've been having fun doing is taking the cards and taking them to places that seem thematic for that card, and taking a picture of them, and then writing like a little card diary article.
Oh, that's you that's been doing that. Okay, yeah. Carl's been posting those.
Yeah, no, I've been having so much fun with that. And those are great candidates to put in the background of those cards of just like, here's what a student would say upon seeing this, or here's tips about how to make your worm golem, keep it moist or something. I don't know. But that's just been a blast to like put together these little thematic paragraphs to go with each card.
Whoop, sorry about that. So as you can see, the Verla, the game is pretty photogenic, man.
Yeah,
what do you think?
Oh, for sure. Yeah, I'm really excited about this. I like the push your luck aspect of it very much.
It's got engine building, but it's got the engine building that I like, where it's not an engine building for the whole game, Chris. Although some of the cards do have effects that are going to last. It's really that engine building where you hurry up and build an engine and run it. Hurry up and build an engine and run it. So you're constantly spinning that motor. And I like those games, especially because, hey, I have a short attention span. So it's hard for me to plan that long. But I can spin out little tiny engines as we play.
You don't want to be overwhelmed with how many things that are like continued on go in your engine. You want some things that are bursty and some things that that last, and it's good to have a good balance of that.
You're hitting the mark for Chris. You've got a lot of cool features in here with the artwork. So tell us about the project. The project funded right away. It's out on Kickstarter right away. Thank God for Carl. I love the fact that she didn't even have to worry about it. Funded within the first 24-ish hours. In fact, really the first couple of hours, if I remember right.
I think 3 hours, yeah.
Yeah.
Oh, nice.
Oh, that's always awesome when it does that. So, but what's planned for the rest? You still got some time left on the project. Are there any other plans as the Kickstarter just keeps growing? Yeah,
there's a couple of stretch goals. I have to keep up on what's open now and what's coming. Obviously first you got like some component related things. There's a mini expansion that's one of the stretch goals, which I'm pretty excited about. It's just like a little add-on where each player starts with a staff, and that staff gives you a once per month ability. So if you remember from the turn track, like the months actually matter. So that's going to be like a 4 times per game thing that you get to do. And they just add like a little bit of spice, a little bit of asymmetry that's really nice, gives everyone a little bit of power. It's a lovely addition. I would love to see that one happen because that one has been very popular with my partner. She always wants to play with the staves. Game works fine without it, but it is a nice addition. I'd love to see that one happen. There's also things like what we do with that little skull and the first player marker. Like there's a lot of play in there that we still have to see over the course of the Kickstarter.
Yeah, so this is one that I actually did for crowd surfing on the Dice Tower because, hey, when I'm doing the crowd surfing lanyard, I'm looking for games that won't break your budget and throw in a little something extra. $19, Chris? Seriously, you might as well pay us to buy this game. I mean, really, Jack Crew. This is an easy choice for you. $19.
It's a crazy amount of value for $19, honestly. I'm the designer. I don't plan out the production or any of that. When I said at $19, I'm like, that's great. I hope that gets this into a lot of people's hands because you will get a lot of replay value out of $19. Again, as the designer, I don't know what to do in the middle of a Kickstarter campaign. I've been streaming my solo games of it, over and over and over again, and I love playing this game solo. I love playing it with other people, but like the replayability is for a $19 game, you should buy it.
Hey Chris, so when you play it solo, what's your time frame now? How when you set it up, it's all set up. How long does it take you to play it? Because I've actually played it solo a couple of times.
I think if I shut up It would be like 20 minutes. The problem is I've been streaming these on YouTube. So a whole bunch of videos available. If you do want to see how the solo plays out, you can check them out. But I'm like talking through my strategy and everything, and I'm like, well, that took a long time to play. Oh, because I was talking the whole time. But if you just focus, it's like 20 minutes, and you're good. And there's these missions you can play to kind of set alternate targets. But I'm also just fine just playing it and seeing what combos I can build. And yeah, probably 20 minutes for solo.
It's shorter than me. For me, 480 minutes. But I'm a slow player. No, I'm joking. It was about 20 to 30 minutes for each of the solo plays. So if you like solo games, this is one you should be looking at. I mean, $19. Hey, Chris Strain's got a question for you, though. And he's asking for a friend. If you could go back in time a week before your Kickstarter launched, what would you do differently?
Oh, man.
We see you coming, Chris.
Just prepare myself for an ordeal. I mean, I've watched so many friend designers launch Kickstarters and see them go through this and see them be stressed out. And I'm like, okay, I understand what this looks like. And no, just my feeling of helplessness right now is, I don't know. I stand by the game. I think it's great. It's been lovely. I actually, I would do the solo streaming thing that I've been doing. It's been lovely to hear from people in the Kickstarter comments. They were on the fence. They watched a solo playthrough and they're like, oh, it looks great. And they bought it. And I'm like, thank you. Because I didn't know if I was doing that for no reason. It's really great to get that positive feedback.
I've never done a Kickstarter, but I would tell you exactly what you're talking about. Community involvement, getting people involved, getting people invested in the people behind the game. Look, there's plenty of games out there. They got to have a reason to take a look at a project. And one of the reasons I always take a look, one of the things I mentioned here is the art. If it's Ian O'Toole or Beth Sobel, I mean, I back it, but I'm going to take a look at it, right? Same thing with the gameplay. If it's a certain publisher, I'm going to take a look at it. But if it's somebody I know, that's why the Weird Giraffe Games and the Flat Out Games are so attractive to me, because I've met those people and I like those people, and you want to support the company. It's a bonus that the game is as good as advertised.
Yeah.
If you can, at least it gets you to look at the project. You may not back everything, but you're still going to take a look at it. Verla, what about you?
Yeah, I mean, when I started getting into board games and found out the universe existed 2.5-3 years ago, I learned about Kickstarter right away, and I swore it off. I was like, okay, that's clearly a black hole. I need to stay away from it. And then when I went to Shucks in 2018, I met Daniel Kazmaier and playtested Chai and just fell in love with the game, but also just really appreciated who he was as a person and wanted to support his and Connie's dream. And then I ended up going and helping demo Chai at Essen last year. So definitely, the people behind the games makes a difference in where my Kickstarter dollars go.
It's push your luck, a little bit of that spin up engine building, although there's some longer term cards, as I said. It's got that what I call the abyss mechanic, where you're trying to decide what cards you're going to leave for other people, or should I keep going to that next one because I really want that next pile. What's in that next pile? What's in the pile? I want to know. So it's really good. So Beth wants to know, what is your favorite aspect of this game?
Cool. Well, I mean, I started with wanting to do that draft and getting that push your luck, but I think my favorite aspect is the identity of the different schools in the game. How each one really feels like you are studying that subject, and it's like how you overlay them, and then how they interact back with that core mechanic of pushing your luck. How sorcery might dump more cards into the field, or with reanimation, you're like digging for the exact bone you need to finish your project, and so you're like laser focused. I love that interplay.
Nick, check out Rado's video, but also you may have missed that Chris has actually been running the game through solo plays. He's posted them up on YouTube. I think we have, Steve found the link. So here's a link to Chris Glein playing it on YouTube. Check those out, Nick, and you can see exactly what it is. But Nick, $19 for this. That's not bad. And with the possibility of getting even a little expansion content thrown in, a little lanyap, as we say. That's the Kickstarter project. What's that?
Expansion?
Yeah. Go ahead. Sure.
Because there's an expansion up on the Kickstarter, which is the Divination expansion, which adds a 4th school. So I was talking about how excited about the schools, and Divination just leans into that. Divination is all about trying to predict what's going to happen, all sorts of play with the hidden information of the piles, and manipulating of the fates. It's got like a tea leaf reading theme. I'm excited about that too. So if you feel good about it, if you feel confident about it, it's a definite fun addition. Game doesn't need it, but definitely benefits from adding.
Are you a former Magic player?
Yeah.
Okay. Was there any inspiration from your old Magic days in the game at all? Is there any homage there? Did you sneak anything in there? No.
I don't know. I think there's any direct references. Like divination is a card in Magic, but like it's more like the overall umbrella of that. I learned about the mechanic of Winston drafting through Magic, and I definitely learned a lot of lessons as a game designer in the color theory of Magic and how giving everything an identity and playing with the overlap. There's similarities between that and the schools. Like each one is a very particularly planned identity, and it's all about the interplay.
Have you used the divination expansion in real life? Beth wants to know if you can use it for betting. Probably not, right, Chris?
It seems like probably a poor choice. I mean, you're an adult. You can do whatever you want. I probably wouldn't recommend it.
All right, elevator pitch. We got a couple of people checking in here at the last minute. We got Studies in Sorcery out on Kickstarter right now for, what is it, about a week left? I'm trying to remember now.
It says 9 days.
9 days left? Okay.
9 days left.
All right, so 9 days left, $19. You can get the expansion content with it for $24. That's a great deal. We know Carla's track record. Weird Giraffe Games is going to deliver. They're going to deliver on time, and the game's going to be better than you think of when it comes in that final box. I've played the promo copy, so I can't wait to see what the real one is. Give us that last pitch. Sell the chat crew. Why should they take a look at this project?
If you love cards as much as I do, the expressibility of cards, I think this will work for you. It's got that engine build yourself up, but it's not going to overstay its welcome. If you like the theme, if you like creepy and cute together, and if that sounds like your jam, you're going to be enjoying yourself as you're playing through. An important thing for me is that theme and mechanics must be like bonded from the beginning, and that is absolutely that is true for anything I design. And if that is your jam, this will deliver on that.
Yep, that's a good point. You're going to get that from this game. So that is Studies in Sorcery from Weird Giraffe Games out on Kickstarter right now.